On the most recent episode of your incorrectly named Archetypes podcast, Meghan, which is titled Breaking Down the Bimbo, you discuss with Paris Hilton the uncouth tendency of film and television programs to objectify fake-tanned, hair-extended, lash-extended, mini-dress-wearing 20-somethings who are employed solely on the way they look. Oh, I was. It was just awful, And only a little while before that, I'd been studying international relations at college. Oh, how useful. And I'd be on the set of Deal or No Deal thinking to myself, 4 months ago, I was like an intern for the U.S. Embassy in Buenos Aires, Argentina. Is this whole other country being valued for my brain? Whereas, on Deal or No Deal, I was not being valued for my brain. Shocker. Yeah, quite the opposite, in fact. Oh yeah, she was being valued for her sweet moneymaker. Well, it certainly wasn't your brains I was interested in when I first met you. Yeah, and what it goes to show is that women on programs such as Deal or No Deal, they're put through this conveyor belt of augmentations and enhancements to try and make them up to be the, archetypical bimbo. A stereotypical bimbo, yes. Although I don't believe you were complaining about it whilst you were still receiving a check from the program. Not exactly, no. I needed the money, right? I was grateful. And did you assume that you were being hired for your sharp intellect, such that it is, when you applied for the program? I think Meghan hoped that she'd be able to show them what she had under her skull once she got her foot in the door, by showing them what she had under her dress. Indeed, but how do you reply to those, and many have written in with the same statement, who say that you were happy to take the money and notoriety when it suited you, but now that it doesn't suit your narrative, you not only cast it off as something you didn't like, enjoy, or approve of, but that you were actually objectified by, thus becoming a victim once again? It doesn't matter what my Meghan does. She's always a victim. She's like one of those silent performers who's stuck in a room full of rakes on the floor. It doesn't matter where they step. Bang! Right in the kisser. When I was making money from it, I never realized how much I, hated it, right? Had an inkling. But ever since I got my podcast, and I've been giving serious thought to these damaging archetypes, stereotypes, which are perpetuated through society, leading women to be objectified as, ditzy, dumb floozies. Well, Meghan, I'll admit, it does look like you hated every second of it. What do you think, Harry? Deal or no deal? No deal. Returning once again to your most recent podcast, Meghan, Breaking Down the Bimbo, which sounds pretty sexist to me. It was with Paris Hilton, in which you told listeners that you're embarrassed to admit it. You had a judgment about Paris, and you don't like having judgments. It doesn't feel good. Yeah, like I said in the podcast, I feel really bad about judging people. I'm not really a judgmental person, right? No, you hardly ever hear what she thinks. Yeah, I'm not really inclined that way. I'm going to be honest, it was quite embarrassing for me to know that I judged her. I judged Paris Hilton. I agree with Meghan. Shocker. You should never judge anyone called Paris. They've been judged enough. That's not what I was saying. You might not realize. Excuse me? Just how much joy and happiness you bring. Wasn't it Oscar Wilde who said, some bring happiness wherever they go, and some whenever they go? I think it's obvious to see which one of those two applies to you, my little omelette. Indeed.
Well, we have a question here from Samantha Panther, who tripped and fell into the pyrocanther. She asks, do you think you would have had this epiphany about not judging Paris Hilton if she wasn't coming onto your podcast?
No. I mean, what would be the point?
He shouldn't have answered for me, but he's right, If you're going to relinquish a negative judgment you have on someone, it's only worth doing it if you've got an audience, that you can claim credit from for realizing your mistake, like shining the light onto me rather than on the person that I'm, apologizing to.
Yeah. If you're not going to do it for the whole world to see, then you might as well just keep it inside. Let it fester.
Yes, well, that leads us nicely onto a question here from Clarissa Marissa, who's so cute I could kiss her. She asks, now that you're so clearly trying to retract what you are about to publish in your book, Harry, do you regret becoming vengeful and bitter?
Oh, vengeful, eh? You think I'm vengeful, does she? We'll see. Can't let things go, can't I? I'll never forget this, Clarissa.
You've recently given an interview to Variety magazine, Meghan.
Oh, yeah, I had a great time. It was fun and funny, but serious, all at once.
Yes, I've seen the pictures of you sprawled on the floor wearing a tie-dye pink dress by Jason Wu, believed to have cost somewhere in the region of £4,600.
And the rest.
With your feet kicking back and up into the air, shoeless, of course.
So we could see her gorgeous little pinkies.
As though you're a 15-year-old girl and not a failed 40-something actress with a talent for troublemaking.
Yeah, we were going for a mood with those pictures, and those videos, a mood that properly reflects the full spectrum, of my character.
If you only show one half of the spectrum of her character, the other half gets furious. I mean furious.
Yes, Meghan, yeah, I'm looking at the picture here. You were certainly going for a mood, Meghan. That sort of fake and obviously contrived relaxation, which is simultaneously insulting in its artifice and juvenile in its neediness.
Oh, you saw it then?
Indeed, Meghan, you were very eager to give the impression that you both respected the late Queen and that you two had warmth for each other.
Oh, yeah, no, we did. We really did, and like I said, when we had an official engagement together, oh my God, it was so much fun, We laughed and we giggled.
Giggled and laughed.
And although the situation went on to be, complicated.
Well, I personally found it very complicated. Though I find a lot of things complicated.
Yeah, I know, but you find the intercom complicated.
Hello? Oh, hello? 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 No, gone again. Hello?
Yeah, and even though it went on to be a little bit complicated, like I said, she'll always, hold a special place in my heart because of the warmth we shared, and she'll always hold a special place in my soul because she was and always will be a feminist icon.
Very touching, Meghan, although you do seem eager to avoid questions about your Oprah interview and about how your public complaining and allegations... Go on then, Harry.
Allegedly. The things they say, allegedly.
Would have, and indeed did, bring stress and misery to the final years of the Queen's life.
Some recollections may vary.
You seem very keen on glossing over this issue.
Yeah, part of me is just really trusting, really open. It's just the way I move in the world.
Okay, but that answer didn't bear any relevance to the question I asked.
Answers relevant to the question asked. I mean, Dr. Jackson, you really are living in the past. Oh, bless him. Bless him.
On the most recent episode of your podcast, Meghan, you discussed the stereotype of the, I quote, angry black woman. Yeah, it's a really bad stereotype. Archetype. No. Carry on. I'm surprised that you noticed the irony, Harry.
So am I, to be fair.
Okay, but you know what would be nice? Getting back to me? Yes, of course.
Nice for who? What? I said back to you.
I think that people should have the opportunity to be direct without being called angry, to be able to exist on their own terms, to be human.
Angry, if necessary. Vicious, if necessary. Vindictive. Don't forget that one.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be gender or racially specific, That's what I wanted to highlight, right? Do you not see the problem with that premise, Meghan? The fact that it's you who's linked it to gender and race? No, it's a real thing, It's a real stereotype, a damaging stereotype.
Crushing.
In your assessment, Meghan, I've never personally heard of the term the angry black woman. I've never considered black women angrier than any other type of person. I just watch each individual's behaviour and judge from there.
Old school.
What you've done is use that assessment to create a podcast to say that anger isn't a gender and race issue. You made it a gender and race issue so you could tell everyone that it wasn't a gender and race issue. It really is bizarro, cuckoo, circular nonsense land.
Oh, you've been there.
Only against my will, Harry. What I think we're missing here is that when we exist, we don't just need to accept ourselves. We need to make sure to be, really be ourselves.
And force others to accept it.
Yes, you said that I find myself cowering and tiptoeing into a room. And you're like, oh my God, stop. Stop whispering and tiptoeing around. Just say what it is that you need.
My Meghan certainly found her voice.
You continued, you're allowed to set boundaries. You're allowed to be clear. It does not make you demanding. It does not make you difficult. It makes you clear.
And then you know exactly where you are with that person. I certainly do.
Well, you performed a magical double dip into the thick yogurt of irony in this particular podcast, Meghan, because the clearest thing about your delivery was how clearly demanding and difficult you are.
Beautiful in its way.
Indeed, Harry. And some could even argue, Meghan, that what you describe as cowering and tiptoeing, others might regard as good manners, or respect for convention, or modest in behaviour.
Racists!
Do you not see how the problems that you speak of are mostly created by the narratives that you spin? And that without those narratives, without the continual reference, the problems themselves would dwindle down into insignificance. Yeah, but then what would I do? Exactly. Whoopi Goldberg, the intellectual titan from The View, has criticised your whinging about feeling and being seen as a bimbo whilst you were a box girl on Deal or No Deal in the mid-noughties. Yeah, I was very, very surprised to see Whoopi turn on me. I was like, she obviously doesn't know me. She doesn't know me at all.
We'd heard Whoopi's views on other things.
Yeah, who hasn't?
So we thought, based on those, that she'd definitely support my Meghan.
Yeah, but she turned out to be a traitor. Right, yes, and with her characteristic eloquence, she said, my point is, if you see it and that's how you feel, just maybe you don't want to make the other women feel bad because maybe they're not. Maybe they're trying to make a living too.
I mean, what a nonsense word salad. I mean, have you ever heard anyone say so many words without saying anything at all?
Rarely, Meghan.
I can't work out what she's on about, for love nor money. Whoopi neither.
Yeah, I just didn't like being forced to be all looks and no substance, Being reduced down to that specific archetype.
A stereotype.
The bimbo.
When she's so much more than a bimbo.
Yes, Meghan, but were you forced? I mean, who forced you?
Tell me who. I'll give him a right royal good thrashing.
Right, sure. Well, a viewer has written in to say they think this is what Whoopi was getting at, that it was your choice at the time, like others are choosing to make now and did before. Referring to the role as a bimbo, now that you have this new undeserved podcast platform, is a bit rich and indeed insulting to those who are not as lucky as yourself.
Luck? My God, sorry, did you say luck? I haven't got to where I am because of luck. I got here through hard work.
An extraordinary cunning.
And like I've said before, I'm not the lucky one, Harry's the lucky one. He's lucky to have found me.
I feel blessed. Every day.
Indeed. Whoopi also said,
Oh, Whoopi, Whoopi, Whoopi.
On that show, she said, you basically had a suitcase, which I think is very perceptive. The contestants want to know, is this the deal you want, or is it not? I don't know that the people who are sitting there are thinking about you like that. They're thinking, I want the money.
Oh yeah, well that's certainly what Meghan was thinking.
No, I don't really agree with Whoopi again, because I had this feeling, deep down in the pit of my stomach, that I was being, objectified on stage.
Yes, well, feelings in the pit of your stomach don't necessarily correspond to reality. Is this not just another example of you creating a problem out of the crystallized mucus of your own narcissism, and then using your podcast to fix that problem?
That's our entire business model.
We have a question here from Felix. Felix, my lolly again, I'll thump him. He wants to know if you plan to attend your father's coronation on the 6th of May next year.
Well, that will very much depend on the outcome of things happening, between now and then.
Yeah, and besides, that's Archie's 4th birthday, so, we might have made plans anyway.
Are you hedging your bets there, Meghan?
My Meghan doesn't gamble. She wins.
I assume, Harry, that you were referring to the release of your book, Spare, in the spring of next year, when you spoke of the outcomes of things happening between then and now.
Look, either the royal family are going to man up and take these revelations on the chin, or they're going to throw a strop and cry and whinge.
Which is most unedifying.
Yeah, I try to keep myself out of this as much as I possibly can, because, it's Harry's family, and I wouldn't really want to get involved, certainly not in criticizing them. But Harry's been, a spare, all of his life, right?
Yes, even now.
He's like a spare wheel on a car that's never even been used.
That isn't even pumped up.
And what it seems is now, if he wants to, maintain any connection to his royal past, if he wants to have any status left, or even have connection with his actual family, he's got to shut up, and keep it all inside.
It's like...
Quiet, Harry. He used to be forced into doing things that, he really didn't want to do, he wasn't comfortable with.
It still is.
Yeah, and now he's being prevented, by the use of subtle threats from saying exactly what he wants to say, right now, from expressing himself like a man, like a fully fledged man, with his own voice.
Yeah, it's like,
Harry, will you be quiet? So if we pretend that no one was mean to me or bullied me or mocked me or made racially disparaging comments, then yeah, come along. We can all play happy families.
But if I release a book, ripping the royal family apart from the inside, then we're not invited. That's about the size of it.
Oh, so you realise you'll probably be uninvited if you decide to go hell for leather in the attacks on your family in the meantime.
If they uninvite us, then who cares? It's Archie's birthday and we weren't coming anyway.